Welcome. My name is Jack Geiser. Welcome to the Town Hall meeting for Safety for Nonprofits. We hold this meeting twice a year. We try to keep connected in our virtual organization. It's mostly focused in the U.S., but increasingly we have volunteers across the world. So welcome again. And We'll try to go through. We have some structured content. We have a number of speakers. If we can advance, Sharon, to the next slide. We have a number of speakers who will cover some content. We deliberately include our volunteers. We all do work. So that's what we want to do is share the work and the learnings. In particular, in our meeting, we want to connect with our newer volunteers to help show the way. So here on this gallery, Rogues Gallery, I'm just going to start top left and move to the right, go clockwise. So Meg is out of our Colorado group, works with Jeff Stumpf, and they're going to provide an update in our program. Moving to the right, David Crowley, based out of the Boston area, will provide an update on our collaborations with ASSP and the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. Kerry Gurman out of Orange County, California, will be sharing some of his learnings with in terms of how to connect with nonprofits and deliver services. Jennifer Lee, moving down to the lower left, is based out of Indiana and will share some of the work that her team with the MIRCHECK initiative, what they've accomplished. Stephen Mazeros, out of the Philadelphia area, will talk a little bit about the tools, Wombat, other tools that we have available as a volunteer. And then many thanks to Sharon Schindel out of Phoenix, who really pulls this together and is the lead for the Arizona team. So a great group of speakers. We'll have time at the end of our program for questions and answers. Next slide. So I covered the agenda pretty much. Really, what we want to do is empower our volunteers. We have more than 300 volunteers, and we are a virtual organization. We're all volunteers, so we're going to talk about how we act, how we support our mission, which is to help other nonprofits be better and safer. So we've got case studies. We're going to review the tools, as I mentioned. And then we have some interesting work that we're doing in various stages with colleges and universities. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then our plans, and we have time at the end for Q&A, so questions and answers. Okay, next slide. So really our focus areas, number one is to deliver services, on-site services to nonprofits. That's really one of our really main focus areas, and that's what we do to operate our virtual organization. One of our other focus areas with the leadership team in our organization is to support the volunteers. So that's really why we exist. We're all volunteers. We have no paid employees. And then part of our work also is to recruit more volunteers, help them get engaged, connect with clients, the nonprofit sectors. And then also we have partnerships because we are self-supported. Our partnerships are very important to us. And then lastly, we, as a nonprofit, raise funds, especially here at the end of the year. We'll talk a little bit about that. So I think that at this point, I'm going to give the program to Kerry.
Thank you, Jack. I'm Kerry Gurman. Been with Safety for Nonprofits now for about 5 years. Time flies while you're having fun. And I started out in Arizona and then moved to Southern California, Orange County, a couple of years ago. And we're starting to get things going out here. We have, quite a few Safety for Nonprofit volunteers that have gone through the orientation process. And once you've gone through the orientation process, you're basically empowered to be able to start contacting nonprofits and be able to put work scopes together that can benefit them in improving health and safety at their location for their employees and volunteers. Um, they Many times nonprofits really don't know what they need when it comes to safety. They don't have safety programs in most cases, and they may not realize just what they need to be doing to reduce the risk of people getting hurt at the workplace. So, as a health and safety professional, you can educate nonprofits in terms of what they might need, help them understand their risks, and then help to put together various types of programs, training, and various basic safety programs that will help them reduce that risk. Why don't you go ahead and change to the next slide, Jack? Thanks. So, many of you may already be volunteering with a nonprofit, in a basic way. I volunteered at a food bank quite a bit, and I was just a basic volunteer. But then when I started talking with some of the leadership there at the food bank, started to understand that they may be able to benefit from safety for nonprofits in terms of us improving the safety program at their workplace. So you can kind of elevate yourself from a basic volunteer to helping them with their safety programs as well. So, and that's probably one of the best ways to start, um, uh, working with a nonprofit is in that basic way in which you might be interested in a food bank, an animal shelter, whatever it might be in your community, and then start to see where the health and safety needs are, um, going from that basic volunteer level. Another way might be just to reach out to nonprofits in the general area where you live and be able to start looking at those that might have more risk and then introducing yourself as a safety for nonprofit volunteer as well. There's lots of ways of doing this, and we have recruited nonprofits as clients throughout the country in various types of ways. And it's just really a case by case basis where it would determine what your role would be in that nonprofit. So those are the basic things that we do. There's a number of them that are happening across the country where our volunteers are really benefiting those local nonprofits. Jack, I think that might take care of me, and we'll go on to the next speaker.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Carrie. So I know Carrie's got a number of other stories, to tell about the volunteer work and how you can connect. So a little bit later, please jump in. So one of the clients that we've been working with is a refugee resettlement agency. This is in the New England area, and they requested our services. It was through a personal connection that, and they wanted to generally upgrade their safety and health practices in a proactive manner. They had grown quite a bit. We talked about this at the last town hall meeting. Since then, for a number of reasons, they've had to put some of the improvement initiatives with safety on pause. So we haven't been actively delivering services, but one of their main activities in the future is to focus on office ergonomics. So our volunteer Don Delicat is taking the lead on that out of Boston, and we'll be working with them as they pull for services. One of the aspects of supporting this agency was safety services, walk through safety and health risk assessment, and recommending their focus to reduce risk. We were able to connect with one of the students, a graduate student in the Boston area at Harvard, who became a volunteer and helped. And Sharon, if we, Keith Acosta is a volunteer with us. He wasn't able to join us today because he's taking his biostatistics final exam. He's in the second year of his master's program at Harvard, but he did join us with a video recording. So let's go.
Hi, so my name is Keith Acosta, and I'm a Master of Science student studying environmental and occupational health at the Harvard Chan School of Public Health. And last year in November 2024, I had a phenomenal opportunity to volunteer with the Safety for Nonprofits team. So I helped out with a safety walkthrough assessment at a refugee resettlement agency at a site in Manchester, New Hampshire. So I think first off, this project really resonated with me because throughout high school and college, I worked with immigrant and refugee communities. So I specifically helped teach English as a second language classes to adult English learners. And so throughout the project, I really thought it was kind of fascinating to apply a lot of the occupational health and safety skills that I learned in my master's degree program. So alongside the Safety for Nonprofits team, I walked through the site to kind of get a sense of the health and safety concerns. I helped evaluate workstations, and then at the end of the project, I was able to help consolidate all these findings into a safety assessment report that we distributed to business leaders of the organization. So for me, it was really interesting and eye-opening to kind of learn how safety professionals assess workplaces and also collaborate with business leaders. And I especially enjoyed learning how to respectfully and professionally deliver and share safety recommendations. Um, so I really appreciated gaining a lot of hands-on experience with this volunteer project, and I highly recommend that any college students or graduate students get involved with Safety for Nonprofits, not only to gain a lot of skills, but also to advance worker health and safety in their surrounding communities. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, yeah. So Keith has really been a good volunteer, and I think he's got a bright path forward. One of the areas of focus for us in Safety for Nonprofits is to connect with the colleges and universities. Our students now, especially, um, have the requirement to perform practical, hands-on work as part of their curriculum. So being able to offer this as S4NP and to tap into the altruism of our new emerging professionals and students is really an opportunity for Safety for Nonprofits. And Dave Crowley is going to speak to that a little bit later. So at this time, I'd like to hand it off to Meg Hummel and Jeff Stumpf. We're going to share some of the activities going on in Colorado.
Uh, Thank you, Jack. I'll start off. And with Meg, we've been working to reach out to different nonprofits to evaluate their need for safety for nonprofits. One of the things that I wanted to share is really how easy it is just to connect. And it's not, a lot of people wonder, gee, I mean, what's the process? It's pretty organic and easy. I started with just reaching out to a local food bank in Monument, Colorado. And in my application as a volunteer, I just happened to mention that also I work through Safety for Nonprofit. And that was the entree to begin helping them out. I do continue to volunteer for different campaigns and activities to support the food bank, but there has been some activity within the safety space where I've helped them out uh, with programs, plans. We're still working through trying to figure out the training. They've gone through some organizational changes, which often occurs within a nonprofit, and that can stall what you do for them until they have a new person that fills in that you would coordinate your activities with. So with that, like to turn it over to Meg and her experience on how she's doing with her volunteer work.
Hi. So I actually want to address volunteering with the Butterfly Pavilion. It's a local invertebrate zoo, and I volunteered honestly because I wasn't thinking about safety for nonprofits, but started volunteering. Because I'd retired and wanted to do something super interesting, which it is, and social interaction. But in doing that, I actually connected through a previous coworker where I was a safety manager, and he was like, "Oh wow, we could use your services here." So that just happened. I don't even think I knew he was working there. So that was great, and now it's grown from there to I'm serving on the safety committee with that group and. Which is great. I'm reviewing some of their SOPs for emergency procedures so it's just kind of grown from that initial volunteering and sort of networking within that community. And it's been interesting and wonderful. And we're looking to hopefully grow that. They're very interested in safety for nonprofit services. And but they so they're we're looking at 2026 to really grow that relationship. Um, and then in addition, Jeff, I'll address Jeff and I attended and actually presented, I guess, well, not presented, but we were represented Safety for Nonprofits at the local AIHA Fall Technical Conference back in October. And we had some great connections with students. So it's great to see some of the other connections with students. And as Jack addressed, there's kind of a need for them to have some applying their knowledge in real world. So there's some good connections there. But I also made a very good connection with the Routt County Public Health Director, and she had some great ideas, very interested in. So I'm going to be presenting there in February 2026 at a public health meeting to or at the Routt County meeting to address basically what we do, what we can offer to support any other, so others in that in within Routt County can reach out to Safety for Nonprofits for any support they might need. Routt County is a mountain town in Colorado. It's pretty darn far from any metropolitan area. So they are looking for support. So that's kind of an interesting idea. Um, I I reside mostly in the greater Denver area, and but thinking about how we can support areas that are a little bit more kind of out of that metropolitan area is interesting. I'm hoping it pans out into some interactions. I'm hopeful. She also had the idea that during that same visit to attend a Rotary Club, because a lot of the Rotary Club members are actually nonprofit directors of some sort in that area. So I think those look really promising. Another way to sort of expand that relationship with any sort of for safety nonprofits, but beyond your initial volunteering activity. So just kind of to recap, where it is really easy um, to participate as a Safety for Nonprofits volunteer, and it requires just networking and discussing and offering the services because often I know probably many of us in our careers have experienced businesses who don't even know they need for-profit businesses that don't even know they need our services, that safety support. And then for nonprofits, they're very targeted on their goal. And they're not thinking necessarily about safety. So we can provide that education piece and just start small and support maybe a little training or a little, ladder safety review or something like that. So there's a lot of opportunity here for sure.
Excellent. Well,
Great.
thank you so much, Meg. And
Yeah,
Jeff?
thanks, Meg. I'm gonna go through the next slides. I'm Sharon Schindel. As Jack mentioned, I'm the Arizona team lead, and I'm also part of the executive committee. I had a couple of thoughts about what Meg and Jeff were saying. One is, I think what Jeff mentioned, that it can take a while to get started, and then nonprofits kind of go through, I think, cycles or ups and downs of their availability, right? They're very focused on their mission. They're busy people. Sometimes they have turnover, things like that. So it's important to sort of not give up on them and maybe, revisit with them every now and then to remind them that you're there for them, and maybe have them introduce you to the next person that's come along that's in charge of operations, and really understand that it's not necessarily the same pace that you might be experiencing at work where things happen very quickly. It can take a little longer with nonprofits, just because they're so busy and relatively so low staffed. So one person might be doing the job of 5 or 6 people normally. Um, one client I'd like to talk about is the New England client that we had, which is Artisans Asylum. They first kind of contacted us just via our website, which was great, asking us to evaluate their metal shop lab. And they're a big kind of what I'd call an advanced maker space. I mean, they let people, they have a bunch of studios, they have workshops, and they have a lot of visitors and members. And we had volunteers in 2025 that did an evaluation and provided a report to help them decide what to upgrade in their metal shop lab. And we're going to continue to stay engaged with them and hope to evaluate all their labs in the future. But they're another one of those that kind of has experiencing ups and downs, and we're just going to keep in touch with them. Then I have 2 examples of Arizona clients. This is the Se Pueda Foundation. We've done 2 different projects with them. One is another one of the in-person visits where we had several health and safety professionals come in and visit, and then provide a written report about improvements. And then when we touch base with them in 2025, actually we've got the volunteer right here, Bomick, worked virtually with them to develop a written program for lockout tagout. And I think that illustrates another thing that Meg, you were mentioning about the remote area. You don't always have to have volunteers who are actually physically present on the ground. There's a lot of opportunity for us to do things virtually. Both this is an example, and then we had another example in a really remote area of Arizona where a nonprofit associated with the Native American tribal area worked with us to develop a safety plan for their waste cleanups. And so, we've got more than 300 volunteers, and a lot of them are actually really interested in doing something that they can manage kind of between their other responsibilities, and doing a virtual or kind of off hours one might be very helpful. So I think that's very helpful for these kind of more remote areas where we might not have somebody that actually lives in the area. With Si Se Pueda, we did get to do both in-person and virtual work. And then with this next client, the Tempe Community Action Agency, TCAA, they actually do have kind of what I'd call a traditional food bank shelter kind of area. And one of our volunteers who had a lot of experience with different companies worked with them and did an assessment, a walkthrough, did employee observations, and then delivered a report with some OSHA references so that they were able to really prioritize what was important to get done. And then worked on reviewing their documentation. And this is another example of an organization where they've actually had quite a bit of turnover. And so we work with somebody, they change to a new person, and we just have to kind of keep checking in with them to see how things are going, and continue to help in with them. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Stephen.
Hey, thanks, Sharon. So Steve Mazzaris here. I'm also involved almost from the beginning with S4NP, and I'm on the executive committee along with everyone else there. But this slide's pretty important because it kind of really reflects the growth that we've gone through. As you can see, Sharon just updated this week, so it's very current. We're well over 300 members now, and we've got a footprint in 48, I think, 38 of the states. So That's quite a big representation. The way we're structured is kind of unique. We look to kind of establish state programs, and once we've got enough of a coalition of volunteers, um, somehow a leader emerges, like Jeff, who's looking after Colorado with Megan, or Sharon, who's taking care of Arizona, and Carrie, who moved out to California. And then we've got other reps that are in Ohio and Massachusetts. But we've got a lot of states where, and we're also in about 5 countries. We've got a footprint in Africa now. We've got a footprint in India and as well as the Middle East. So, some of that falls into what we are calling the virtual state program. And I try to administrate the virtual state program and keep kind of connect with those people. So how do we kind of work? And we work with this unique software. So if we go to the next slide, one of our very first volunteers was this guy and gal, Sienna and Ron, out of Vancouver Island, in British Columbia, Canada. And Ron had approached us with the concept of he was a very successful technology entrepreneur, developed kind of unique software for the marine safety industry, and then sold that software to the country of Singapore that uses it to manage their shipping, marine inspections of freighters and boats and things that come through. But with that, he had a kind of unique skill set and approached us to say, look, I love what you guys are doing. I'd love to sponsor a program where I develop software that we can actually donate to nonprofit entities to use to help manage their safety programs. And so over the next 2.5, 3 years, we kind of partnered with Ron in back and forth on, what might be important things to include and how to maybe structure that software. And he and his team have grown into quite a little enterprise there in a very unique software. It's called Wombat Software for Safety. And if you click to the next slide, I'm going to dive into it, but it is a very important part of our program because it allows us to kind of create a platform where, one, we can manage all of our volunteers, we can manage all of our processes, and it kind of helps us structure the way we work. And, many of you who have already kind of gone through the onboarding process know, you register on our website. And of course, the first thing that happens after that is that comes into our channels. And then we send you a kind of welcome letter that basically takes you to Wombat. And there's where you go through the onboarding documents, the video training, and it allows us to actually visually see that you've done that and completed those tasks. So it gives us that, kind of plan, do, check platform to kind of manage the aspects of our programs. But it goes beyond that because it's allowing us to create a library where we can actually put materials that are created by our volunteers. It also allows us is a tool that you can set up an end-to-end safety program, put in all of a volunteers, organizations, employees, and then push procedures, standards to them and have a way to monitor and ensure that they've signed off on those things. So it gives you a great structure, and it's been a pretty big thing for us to be able to have this relationship, and because it's moved us along rather quickly instead of having to invent all these things and have them in different places. What it really does also is it creates that place to document things that we've done our onboarding. We've got people that, adhere to our code of conduct. They've gone through the training and they're in a position to be covered by our liability insurance, which is very important. So, and as I had said earlier, it creates that library. And when teams pull together projects, it gives us a place to put it on the platform that everybody can just log in and access without having to kind of create some kind of, different links, etc., or send emails out that'll get lost or disappear. So with that, I want to kind of talk about one of those projects that'll end up being put on a platform here in our library. And I'm going to pass it over to Jennifer, who can share that story with you on a very unique and interesting project that she's championing for us.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. So we worked on a project, Mirror Check initiative, and to give you a little bit of background on that, backover incidents happen in the United States, about 292 fatalities annually. So if you look at that, that's almost one a day, and our nonprofits are not immune to that. And so that's where this project came from, that need. And we realized that nonprofits often don't have the safety resources to train their volunteers to prevent those from happening. So our goal with this project was to make sure that we had easy and effective training materials for those nonprofits to eliminate those backover incidents. So to achieve this, we formed 3 different teams, and we had lots of volunteers, diverse backgrounds, even outside the US. And we had our team 1 that was focused on pulling together the information, relevant information that would apply to our nonprofits and really tailored it to their environments. Our second team pulled together that information and developed multimedia productions, resources that could be used for those nonprofits. And then the third team brought those all together, assembled the products, and really making sure it was cohesive and ready for deployment to our teams, our nonprofit teams. So what we ended up with, so Team 3 ended up was a facilitator's resource guide. And that guide gives our nonprofits all the different options that they can use and how to use those, especially for the type of organization that they have. So making sure they understand how to do an effective delivery. We also had a training.
Jump over to our website.
Oh, yes, please. So we also had a training PowerPoint that we put together for our nonprofits. And not only do we have the slides in there, but we also have a script for those nonprofits. So they're getting the talking points that they need, and there's consistency through that, through the training that's provided. We have 3 short videos. You can see a sample of that down at the bottom, the middle one. 3 short videos, all under 3 minutes. And those 3 short videos cover just understanding the need for it. It's an introduction of the content, how to evaluate the particular hazards that nonprofit may have, and then also the control and mitigation strategies. So those are good to, if you just have a short amount of time, those are good to emphasize those topics. We also put together a hands-on guide for them. So they have different activities that they can use with their team to really emphasize the learnings, and then also a toolbox talk for those quick safety briefings. So we've made it easy for our volunteers to be able to hand over that information, and then also for our nonprofits, there's different ways that they can deliver this information, and it's very customizable to their type of organization and their environments. So with that, I think I can hand it over to Dave.
Yeah, and if we have time at the end, we can actually jump over to the shared drive or the Wombat and take a look some more at some of those resources.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, bravo to the team.
Great info to share, Jennifer. Thank you very much. As far as our slides are concerned, we want to be able to reiterate the opportunity for advancing your work as a volunteer with Safety for Nonprofits, and what tools do you think you need to get started? As we've discussed, it's a long road. Getting a relationship with a nonprofit organization doesn't happen overnight. It takes some relationship building, if you will. One idea, knowing that we're entering into 2026, maybe offer the idea of participating in something for Earth Day for your targeted nonprofit. Although not necessarily tied to safety, it's a way to open the door, create camaraderie with your colleagues and helping a nonprofit, and then using that open door to further advance your work with that nonprofit. Overall, go right ahead. Sharon, if you could toggle us one more. We do have a lot of activities taking place right now with colleges and universities. As Jack mentioned earlier, we want to be able to acknowledge the importance of the next generation, our emerging professionals, as well as students that are out there that may want to get involved. We've got some activities taking place. Don Ellswick on the call with us today, and efforts that have taken place at the University of Findlay. Thank you, Don, for what's happened there. We got a twinkle in our eye that will continue into 2026. Likewise, Carrie Gurman, also on the call, did some great work with the California State University in Fullerton. These are balls that are rolling forward, again, building that relationship and having a good foundation to support our volunteers with Safety for Nonprofits. We do have a lot of discussions taking place in the early stages with several other schools, presentations that have either already taken place or are planned in the near future. And really, I'd like to emphasize that student connection. This is a great way to help foster leadership within the ASSP community. As indicated, we want to be able to recognize the connection with ASSP in that local chapters can achieve additional comp points. This is the measurement mechanism existing for chapters to determine how active they are. And there is additional points that can be obtained if there is community outreach by a chapter. This is one great way to contribute not only to Safety for Nonprofits, but also your local chapter if you are an ASSP member. The outreach efforts that we have create great experiences for safety professionals, but also for students. As indicated, they get to put an additional bullet down on their resume that might set them apart from someone else when they enter the job market. Overall, we've got some student sections that can benefit by mentoring and further engaging the student body. As indicated, these discussions will hopefully turn into viable Safety for Nonprofit projects down the road. Go right ahead, Sharon. We'll move on to the next one. Our professional collaborations is worthy to take a moment to acknowledge what we've got going on beyond what's been stated by Stephen on Wombat and ASSP particularly. We do have a partnership agreement with them, signed a memorandum of understanding, and also have agreements with ABSA as indicated there. We've got a lot of great involvement by others, AIHA, ACGIH, Connecting Points, as well as with Yellowbird, and BCSP for certificates that hold any credentials through BCSP, somewhat similar to the COMPT reference for chapters in ASSP. If there is someone that holds credentials with BCSP, there are additional points that you can obtain as a volunteer. Again, these are all tremendous opportunities to not only help yourself as an individual, but also contribute to our mission with Safety for Nonprofits. Great. Next one, Sharon, if you could. On ASSP and our partnership agreement, we've surpassed our first year with ASSP, and we were really tickled to be invited to engage with ASSP at this level. We certainly are proud to have this partnership agreement, and we truly appreciate ASSP giving this opportunity that helps us, really reach out to ASSP members and acknowledge that this is something that is able to benefit the local safety community. ASSP boasts the trusted advisor as part of their mission statement, and this enables Safety for Nonprofits to present trusted advisors as Safety for Nonprofit volunteers to contribute to the nonprofit community in advancing workplace safety for not only volunteers, but employees of nonprofits out there. Having our first year anniversary, we did have a call with ASSP staff members to identify how we can further advance our relationship and enable Safety for Nonprofits to continue to benefit. We did have a benefit through 2025 for pronouncing the National Volunteer Week. We will do the same in 2026. And really, if you're out there, if you're a member of Safety for, or a volunteer with Safety for Nonprofits and you're a member of ASSP, we're encouraging you to ask your chapter leaders to discuss Safety for Nonprofits. We stand ready to give presentations at any chapter. Just recently, we did have an outreach take place with the Granite State chapter in New Hampshire, and likely others to come in 2026. Next slide shows some activity that we've had with BCSP. We did have host a webinar with them. It was the second time around webinar that we had with them. And we are also proud and appreciate our connecting partnership with safety with BCSP. We expect to have similar opportunities in 2026. Sharon, next slide, shows some additional activity that we've had as referenced. Carrie was down at Cal State in Fullerton with the student section there. More recently, just last month, Kathy Donlinger and myself were present at the ASSP Professional Development Conference in the New England area. And also, Meg and Jeff did present at the AIHA RMS Fall Technical Conference. These are activities that help us, GTMO, get the message out about Safety for Nonprofits. We want to be able to continue with this. Should you have an interest to present, please do send an email out to Safety for Nonprofits. You'll see the email at the end of the presentation, and we'll partner you up with one of our executive committee members to make necessary arrangements for any presentation as described. Great. Go right ahead. There we go.
All right. Thank you so much, Dave. So as you can see, we're really focused on our mission, which is helping other nonprofits be safer and better. We've got a good track record. This January, we'll be celebrating our 6th anniversary as a formal corporation. So we've got the governance, and that enables our volunteers to go out and deliver services and be protected from professional liability. That's really kind of a key aspect of our organization and how we operate, is we want you to be able to go out and deliver services. So this is a call to action. We empower our volunteers to do good work, and certainly to the extent that you can spread the word with other fellow professionals. We have our LinkedIn page. We appreciate the support that we're getting out of our media group, Art Pedrosa and his team. If you have information that's relevant to nonprofits, we'd like to get it up on the LinkedIn page, or give recognition on our news and events page on our website. So, again, the key is really to connect with the other, nonprofits. Next slide. One of the areas that we do need our volunteers' help on, to the extent that you can, is fundraising and donations. A number of our volunteers, through their employers, are able to do matching donations. That has a real impact here. We have a goal of for 2026 of raising $15,000. The majority of our expenses are for purchasing professional liability insurance and then filing fees for our authorizations and permits. So we've had a couple of messages that have gone out. Again, anything that you can donate to S4NP Inc. Is greatly appreciated. You can either do it through a credit card donation link that you can see in the lower right for credit card donations, or if you go to our donation page, there's a direct address if you want to avoid the 3% service charge that they do. But we sincerely appreciate the financial support, and in particular, if you can go to the next slide, please. Well, let me see. I'll just, cover, this topic again, which is reaching out to nonprofits in your community. The way we're structured, we're agnostic in terms of who you support. We want you to be able to work with your nonprofit, as Dave and Stephen and Carrie and others have identified. One of the best ways to get started is to follow your passions. Work with a nonprofit, do volunteer work, whether it's a food pantry, animal shelter, etc. But follow your passions and connect, offer general support, and then, oh, by the way, offer also the expertise that you have in the safety and health area. And when you start to get some pull for services, that's when we can start to plug in through some of the process for S4NP, so that we have you covered as a volunteer when you're delivering services, so that you're covered under our professional liability insurance, and we have an agreement with the nonprofit. So you will have a liaison with the executive committee. If you're in North Dakota, you would be within the virtual state, and Stephen Mazzaros would be your point of contact and would make sure that you have the resources and authorization to do your work. So one of the things, again, especially as you start to connect with a nonprofit, we need to make sure that you're covered under our code of conduct and everything else, so that we have the liability protection. But again, thank you. If you have any questions about how to get started, or if you have ideas, I think we're going to have a little bit of time at the end here. So next slide. Okay. One of the areas, just in terms of financial support, is sponsorship. We do have a sponsorship program. So if you know of a organization that likes to sponsor good causes in the community, here we are. We are happy to embrace them as sponsors, and we have a structure so that they can donate to their, really to their capacity for financial donation. So again, if you have any ideas in terms of potential sponsors for us, we're very open to this and would appreciate either an email or a phone call. Next slide. Okay, so again, just as a wrap up, our focus is delivering services. We as an organization, this is the executive committee, Dave, Sharon, Stephen Mazzaros, Nancy Orr. We have 8 members of the executive committee that meets every 2 weeks. Our purpose is to support our volunteers delivering services. So we're trying to continue to grow our base. We're up to, I think, 310 last time I checked. And one of the areas of focus is, adding additional resources. So the work that Jennifer and the MearCheck team performed is brilliant work. The food safety toolkit, all of these tools that help us deliver services are where we want to be. So wrapping it up here. Again, thank you to our volunteers. Let us know how you would like to connect in the community, and we'll support you in the background. And I think Sharon, I think we have time for some open discussion here.